limited government.
You know what they want back?
Yeah.
These folks want their old republic back, and they don't want the American empire, and they don't want a lot of foreign wars. They don't want their kids killed, sent overseas, fighting in these godforsaken places. And I'll tell you, you take Chuck Baldwin, you take Ron Paul especially, you take Bob Barr, the Libertarian Party, all these parties, they really represent you, or your point is taken. They are there for the ideas and the beliefs and the convictions, because none of these guys is a charismatic speaker who's going to burn the paint off the walls.
Right.
But the Republicans are losing their ideas.
Chuck Baldwin, I've actually seen Chuck Baldwin cause paint to melt when he talks.
Not just to dry.
Chuck actually, he's a Pensacola guy.
And yeah, they're good guys.
He was one of the first guys to support me in '94.
And these people love Pat Buchanan. I saw more Buchanan Brigade.
Well, we have that in common.
Well, they invited me to speak over there, but I said maybe I better call Phil about this one, Joe.
Phil would say no.
I can't take the night off.
Probably a good idea.
I can tell you, Pat, a lot of reasons why Chuck Baldwin and guys like that still talk to me is only because I know you. You vouch for my credibility.
But they are good people, and I'll tell you.
No, they are.
And groups like that, you take a look at those kind of groups. Many cases, take Norman Thomas on the other side. Yeah. 6 national tickets. He said one day all of his ideas are suddenly moved into the Democratic Party and become the general policy of the country. This is where ideas come. They come from the bottom up.
Absolutely.
They really do.
You're right.
And Chris, just really quickly, look at the Republican Party. That was supposed to be the party of limited government. Biggest deficit ever, biggest debt ever, biggest trade deficit ever, military adventurism, the likes of which we criticized just a decade ago. We go into wars without an exit strategy. There's really no doubt as to why a guy like Ron Paul, as uninspiring as he may seem on the surface, has inspired an entire revolution.
I think George Bush has really sort of shattered the notion of Republicans as always being good financial stewards, and it's going to be really, really hard for this ticket to build that back up again. But I think Pat makes a really interesting point, which is foreign policy, arguably the hottest, most difficult issue facing America today. And actually, there's not that much disagreement right now between the Republicans and the Democrats on
even
what America should be doing.
Yeah.
Both Obama and McCain are speaking for a stepped-up, more powerful American presence in the world. And actually, both of them are speaking for a more multilateralist America.
Other than Supreme Court choices, there's just not a big difference between what Barack Obama will do over the next 4 years and John McCain.
Tax will be
They'll meet in the middle on taxes. I mean, the idea of raising taxes is dead. When Barack Obama comes in, he's going to have to tell his followers, we're not going to tax corporations. We're going to look at France. We are in a competitive new world. We can't afford to drive any more corporations off. I just don't think there's going to be a big difference between either of these two candidates. That's why you see all these people in the street screaming, good against evil, left against right, black against white. It's garbage.
A lot of it is, you're right, a lot of it is artificial
garbage.
warfare.
It is
exactly.
artificial warfare.
And they get back to D.C. and they're going out to dinner.
Flags.
They're going out to dinner together, and how do we cut this thing up?
I disagree with that. I think on the economic policy, there'll be some meaningful differences.
But they're both free traders, aren't they? They're both free traders.
I think they are both free traders, which I would personally say thank God for
so
that.
So the libertarians, but they would eliminate all borders and all treaties, just have it wide open.
So Christian, what did you say? What are they different on?
I think on tax policy you would see significant differences. I think you would see some tax increases under Barack Obama. I think you would also see with a Barack Obama administration a more interventionist government in the capital markets. I think that they would be thinking a lot more about what do we have to do, on pretty sort of techie things, but, what do we have to do to regulate the trade in derivatives? What do we have to do to regulate speculation in oil futures?
Okay, that ain't why people are marching in the streets, though.
No, regulate gold standard.
Gold standard,
it's a different intellectual attitude.
Right, you make a very good point, but at the same time, on these huge issues that cause people to scream and yell at each other and families to fight over Thanksgiving dinners, save the fight, eat the turkey. These Republicans and these Democrats don't really have a great difference when it comes to war and peace. They're going to do about the same thing in Iraq. They're going to do about the same thing in Pakistan. They're going to do about the same thing in Iran.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Ron Paul would bring all the troops home from Europe and from South Korea. He'd move them out of both places and say, we're going to defend our country, and some of these big, fat, sassy Europeans maybe should start defending themselves.
Oh, I love you, Pat.
Hold on.
It's
Big,
not
fat, sassy Europeans.
Give us a
What
hard time.
about slim, polite Europeans? Are slim, polite Europeans?
You can defend yourselves, too. You're all rich.
Hey, Pat, you're working.